Nuccio here with Bottom Line Results Corporation. I'm here today with Howard Fletcher. And Howard, you've been involved in various aspects of business, including global banking,
yes, I have.
Some of the governmental functions and how they impact, policy impacts business leaders. And we really want to get some of your wisdom and insight into how what's going on right now in the economy is going to impact business leaders and what can they do about it. So one of the first questions we had, you've done extensive research and work with some of the forces that impact the economy. What can a business owner or business leader do right now to try, with all that's going on in the economy, to really either not only survive, but perhaps thrive in what's going on?
I think business owners and executives need to be flexible in this economy, and that's not very descriptive, but what I mean by that is they need to position their businesses in a conservative posture, particularly from a risk standpoint, yet at the same time have the resources available to take advantage of strategic situations that may arise. And strategic situations are usually the misfortune of some other business. So I see the key to managing successfully through this environment is to be nimble, to maintain a low risk profile both financially and operationally, and to maintain a strategic reserve in the form of cash or bank credit lines that will enable you to take advantage of strategic opportunities.
So it really is a good time to be a buyer if you're positioned well, not just picking up anything, but strategic acquisitions.
Yeah, I believe there will be lots of strategic opportunities for lots of different businesses out there, but the real issue is the ability of a business to take advantage of those opportunities.
Howard, from your work, your study, how did we get into this mess?
Well, there are two factors that I think are important. It's all about debt and it's all about deleveraging. And we got into this mess over a long period of time, and in my view, a period of time, at least 4 decades, but in the most recent decade, the decade of the first decade of the new millennium, Americans really ramped up their borrowings in all sectors of the economy, and the borrowings they used to acquire things, and they bought toys and they bought trips, and they added on to their houses, and they bought expensive cars and all of that. And we were living through a bubble economy, and when that debt bubble burst, of course, the value of all those assets that were bought when that debt went down, yet the debt remains. So we're in what's called a balance sheet recession, as opposed to an inventory recession. Balance sheet recessions, the last one that we had was really the Great Depression. They are steeper, they are longer, and they are immune to fiscal and monetary stimulus.
So basically, some of the folks, similar to many people that are feeling underwater with their home mortgage,
yes,
right now, could be a long way looking up.
Yes, yes, and the process of getting balance sheets right side up again is called deleveraging, and the deleveraging process will take 5 to 7 years, and will be followed by a period of below normal growth patterns.
Wow. So we better strap in.
So we're looking at the end of 2013, maybe 2014, before the deleveraging process is complete, during which period of time we're going to experience very low economic growth, and it will be followed, historically, if you track deleveraging patterns, it will be followed by a period of below normal credit growth and below normal economic growth.
And yet there are still probably opportunities out there, though, from the companies that are well positioned.
Yes,
so,
of course. There's always opportunity.
Now, what got us into this situation is some reckless borrowing, people buying things really instead of using money strategically to grow or reposition. What would you say there are times where a business should perhaps take on some debt for a strategic purpose?
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying that businesses should ignore the ability to create better results through leverage, but the point I'm trying to make is we're in a very volatile period of time through the remainder of this decade, and businesses should maintain a low risk profile in order to ensure that they survive this period of time. And if an opportunity should come along, debt may very well play a role in financing that opportunity.
Sure.
But I believe that businesses should maintain a very low level of debt until those opportunities arise.
Right, and really that's probably a good way to do business in any type of financial environment.
Sure, sure. We're moving from an economy that has relied on debt and consumption back to an economy that hopefully will rely on savings and investments. And if we do move in that direction, we will begin to accumulate capital again, and that capital will enable the economy to grow.
That's what we're looking for. I hear from Washington television, Howard, that a lot of times the president talking about, hire more employees. As a business owner, that's really not one of the first things I think about is to go out, who can I hire today necessarily, but what would you tell a business owner, when should they be making a hiring decision, in your opinion?
I think they should look at the needs of the business. We see state and federal governments, and to some degree, we're hearing local governments use tax incentives to get people to hire. If I'm a small businessman in particular, I'm going to hire people when I need the people. It makes no sense to me to have a payroll tax holiday just to hire somebody that I don't need. That payroll tax holiday doesn't do me any good. We have a long-term structural unemployment problem, and tax incentives aren't going to make that go away.
We've heard if the government continues to spend the way they're spending right now, was there anything else besides what you already shared about minimizing risk and deleveraging that a business owner should be looking at to survive, this turbulence that's going on right now?
I believe business owners ought to be aware that there's still a great deal of systemic risk in the economy, and it's global. Systemic risk comes from the very heavy debt levels that the Western industrialized countries are maintaining. Systemic risk comes from the enormous interest rate burden that the federal government is assuming, and we all should be aware that the Fed has managed interest rates down to historically low levels. So when rates do go up, that will increase the government's interest burden exponentially. And if just not to get too technical, but the 50-year average rate on treasuries, by 2014, interest will take up 50% of all government revenues.
That's frightening.
It is frightening. The other thing that there are probably 8 to 10 systemic risks out there that business people should be aware of. They range from derivative securities to the weakness in the euro, but I think the biggest one is the rebalancing that has to take place between countries in the global economy. It's estimated that the U.S. dollar is overvalued on a purchasing power parity basis by up to 40%. And if that adjustment occurs overnight, it will trigger a global crisis that will make this most recent one seem relatively tame. If it can be managed between nations over a period of years, that adjustment, it poses much less of a systemic risk.
So it all gets back to trying to cooperate amongst each other for the good of all.
Yes, and trying to avoid the currency wars, which are essentially a rush to the bottom in devaluing currency.
We're just have about a minute left.
Yes.
In a recent presentation, you had mentioned that every company is really a global company. Could you briefly elaborate on that?
The World Wide Web makes every company a global company, and I think all businesses, when they do their strategic planning, they ought to build the World Wide Web into their DNA. They need to build the internet into their DNA. And when I say DNA, that's how the business operates, everything from the customers to the suppliers to the employees. How to reach out electronically and enable them to reach out to you electronically.
Fantastic. Well, Howard, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
And if you have any further questions, please give us a call at 949-788-2998 or check out our website at www.bottomlineresultscorp.com. Thank you.